Dr. Mark Jangizi here with your Science Moment. Today I'm going to talk about the Trusted News Initiative, but really in the context of the kinds of motivations for why one would never want to have a Trusted News Initiative. And I'm going to bring it back to something I've talked about before. I talked about in one of the early Science Moment episodes in the endless COVID hysteria season, and it was about the advantages of being aloof. I've always tried to remain aloof in the scientific world so that I don't get caught up in the sort of minor little group things that happen in this or that field. And it's crucial because it helps ensure that I'm able to move on to new ideas that are genuinely novel and not get sort of caught up in the kinds of things that they think are interesting. And I have a lot more to say about this in that old Science Moment video. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I really try to make sure that my Science Moment videos aren't just repeating the news. You know, they aren't just telling you what's happening. Sometimes they're happening things that are happening in my particular, let's say, court case, or things that are Mark-centric. But I'm trying to either give you angles that are specific to my viewpoint, scientific and other philosophical viewpoint of the world. I'm not trying to beat others to the punch to the news, right? And I'm also not part of organizations. I'm familiar. I'm friends with a lot of these folks in terms of the COVID anti-lockdowners. I know a lot of these folks, but I didn't join. I'm not a joiner. I wanted it to be the case that when you hear my viewpoint, you're getting an independent viewpoint as best as I can give you based upon my own thoughts, given where I sit within the network. And I, again, try to keep myself aloof from all of these others so that I'm independent and you're getting an actual, unique, independent viewpoint rather than just another voice which is effectively redundant with all of the others. And that's really what you want. So the last thing that news networks and Twitter and Facebook and Google, BBC and Reuters, that cluster in 2020 decided, hey, we're all going to work together. And of course, they were already to begin with saying the same stuff ahead of time in any way. But we said, let's further guarantee our collusion against misinformation, and let's work together to ensure that we have the same voice against misinformation. Now, what you've done is guarantee that the normal free market of ideas pressures, which ought to be there, and frankly they weren't great even before that, but you're ensuring that they're destroyed. You're ensuring that instead of CNN potentially sometimes differing from NBC, and someone tries to beat them to the punch, no, actually I think it's this. This is against some of the politics of us of us journalists, but it's such a big freaking story. We want to be the first to the punch and we want to do it. But instead, they purposely made themselves part of groupthink. That makes it very hard for anyone to jump out ahead, because then they'll be accused of potentially pushing forth misinformation, exactly what the Trusted News Initiative has bound them from doing. Right? So, whether it's via centralized fact checkers, or whether it's via a colluding Trusted News Initiative, or whether it's via top-down coordination, coercion, collusion from the federal government, all of these are varieties of the same thing. They're taking what should be a massive social network of many independent voices, complex stuff and battles and wars and discussions and ugliness that occurs, which allows the truth to bubble up and those who are saying false things to get pushed down in reputation, and it undermines that. All of these efforts undermine it. I undermine myself and my voice by aligning with certain kinds of groups and becoming parts of these organizations. I undermine my own voice by trying to tell you information that many other people are better at saying, because I'm just no longer an independent voice. I do my best by saying the weird stuff that Jangizi says from his weird particular angle in the universe. And that's what CNN should do. They've got their own, unique sets of personalities there. And if they focus on those, then they differ a little bit from MSNBC, and differ a little bit from AP and so forth. But they don't try to do that. It undermines their voice. No one wants to listen to what they're saying per se. They can hear the same stuff bouncing from all of these places from any place. And that was your Science Moment. If you're interested in defending free expression and the voice of independent scientists who are trying to understand free expression and how freedom depends upon it, come give us some support. Find ways to donate at freex.group. Freex.group. There's a variety of ways to support us. including following my Substack, markchankisi.substack.com, and donating in a variety of ways at FreeX. That was your science moment.